Hey guys, Eternize here. It's safe to say that hardstyle has evolved over time. We went from the early era to the classic era to the now more modern era, and each period has a very distinct sound to it. Now, in this video, we're going to take a look at how specifically the leads has evolved. So we're going to zoom in on what elements or what individual layers goes into creating the leads of these individual time periods. Let's jump into it. Alright, so this track represents the early melodic hardstyle. So, if we take a look at what goes into this lead, we don't find a whole lot because this is comprised of only 2 layers. This was the standard back then. The lead consists of only 1 or few layers, and the sound design were super simple. Mostly you'd find simple saw waves for these lead sounds. Additionally, you don't find any heavy processing on the leads, no distortions or heavy EQing, just simple saw waves in their natural state. Also, on the subject of processing, reverb of course is important, and today we talk a lot about how we have to sidechain reverb to make space for the lead, right? Well, back then, nope, none of that. Back then you would just take your reverb and you'd put it on your lead and you're good to go. Part of that also is the fact, of course, that you had the additional headroom back then. We don't have that today with today's loudness wars, but still the leads were very minimally processed. Also, what's interesting to look at is the fact that the early leads did not have any dedicated layer for the low end as we do today. Back then your simple saw wave lead took care of everything, the highs, the mids, the lows. There were no dedicated layers to fill in any of those specific spaces. It was all done by the same lead. And in part what enabled that was also how the melodies were written. You see, the melodies were written with low notes in them, so the lead would play these lower bassy notes very often, and so you got to fill in the lower end of the spectrum that way. So to sum it up, what goes into an early lead? Well, 2 layers and that's it. That and also clever melody writing and plenty of reverb. Let's look at the lead from the classic era. Right, so now we have taken a step up the complexity scale. If we take a look at the main lead first, it is comprised of 2 layers. So the main sound is a pretty basic saw wave layer, but then it's accompanied by an additional layer that gives it some more character. In this situation, a more square type of lead. And this was now the standard in the classic era. You would start to blend multiple sounds together to create more unique sounds. In most cases, not just a simple saw wave anymore. So what other layers do we have? Here we have a string layer playing chords of the melody. This layer has the role of filling out the lead even more. So we start to see layers that complement the lead without actually playing the exact notes of the lead. Again, in this case it was the strings in the background, but it could also be things like arpeggiators or anything else that could help carry the lead. Lastly, we see a dedicated layer for the low end. So things are starting to get a little more split up, right? We have the layers of the lead, which consists of 2 separate layers. Then we have the layers of the background to help carry the lead. And then we have a dedicated layer for the low end. So roughly 3 layers here to compose the entire lead. Alright, let's look at the example for the modern lead.
I would like to find me.
Yet again, we are taking a step up in complexity. First, let's take a look at the top lead. The top lead consists of 2 layers. The first layer is designed to give the lead its character. This layer will typically get the sound from either distortion or from pitch LFO.
I would like to find me.
And then the second layer, I call it a support layer, which is designed to complement the first layer. And the role of the support layer will typically be to make the top layer more dense and to make it more wide. The next layer to look at is the chord layer. The chord layer is generally designed to follow the melody of the top lead, again to help fill out the lead sound, and it does so by playing chords that fit the melody. So in this case, the chords consist of 2 layers. And just as with the top lead, it can sometimes help using multiple layers to make the chords more dense, or simply just for the sound design. The next layer in the lead is a background layer. Just as with the classic lead, this layer exists to help fill out the lead as a whole. Just this time, instead of strings, a more muted synth sound is used. Next layer to look at is an arpeggiator. The role of this layer is once again to help fill out the lead and to make it more exciting and unique. Lastly, we have the dedicated layer for the low end. So this layer consists of 3 individual layers. So layer 1 is responsible for the sub-frequencies always staying consistent and being mono-compatible. Layer 2 is responsible for the saw wave in the middle being mono-compatible. And layer 3 is responsible for the stereo information throughout the entire frequency range of the low-end layer. So what did we learn? Well, we learned that as time passes, hardstyle leads become more and more complex. And in this video, we of course focused on leads, but the same could be said for the rest of the elements in hardstyle as well. So if you want to create modern hardstyle leads, you have to be prepared to incorporate multiple layers, right? 1 or 2 layers is not enough anymore. On the other hand, if you are looking to create a more classic or early sounding hardstyle lead, you don't have to master all of the layers of the modern lead, but you would instead have to focus on other things such as melody writing. Alright guys, I hope you learned something. If you did, I would very much appreciate it if you would hit that like and sub button, and also leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. Also, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.